Hey guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video, I'm going to be doing something that I have done in the past, but it's been a while, and I did try to do this last year, but I didn't have much success with it, and I am bringing back my film and TV show reviews, what I watched out of my physical media collection, because moving forward, that's what I want my focus to be. I'm sort of moving away from streaming. Like, it's convenient, and yeah, there's a lot of options to watch, but at the end of the day, I just feel like I'm having this, like, the streaming apps for the sake of having the apps, and yeah, so I have cut back on some of my, like, the streaming sites I have, and I'm still making my decisions on a couple of them, but for the time being, I'm basically just going to be focusing on my physical media. So I will be doing like other related videos. Like, I'm still going to be doing my trip to the movies, where I talk about like the cinema, my thoughts about the movies I see at the cinema. And I'm also going to be doing like a general wrap up of like my favorite movies and TV shows and things like that. But each month, moving forward, my plan is to talk about the movies and TV shows that I watched out of my physical media collection. Now, I have predominantly been watching TV shows this past month. In particular, one show that I've been binging pretty much the hell out of it for the month of February, but I'm going to save that till last and go through the movies that I watched first. So, starting off with, I have continued making progress on my MCU rewatch. I would ideally like to have this finished by the time Deadpool 3 comes out, which I think is the end of July. But if it doesn't happen, that's fine. I just decided to do a rewatch this year because there's, like, I think only one MCU movie coming out. And I thought, because the past few years it's just been so hard to actually fit in the time to do a proper MCU rewatch. So I thought, you know what, this year I'm going to rewatch all the MCU movies. So this month I watched Thor, Captain America, the First Avenger, and The Avengers. It was like a really fun revisiting these early MCU movies. It's been a while since I've seen them, which considering like The Avengers is one of my favourite comic book movies still. Yes, it sucks that Joss Whedon turned out to be a not so nice human being, but this is still a great movie, and yeah, just I had a blast rewatching this because this is still the most amount of times I've seen a movie at the cinema, which is 7. I went a little bit crazy when this movie came out, but yeah, this was just amazing to revisit. And yeah, I loved revisiting these ones too. Like, they're great character introductions, and I have a soft spot for Thor. It was the first MCU movie I ever saw at the cinema. Yeah, I just will always love this one. So, and yeah, and Captain America First Avengers, yeah, a great period superhero drama film. Yeah, just loves, I mean, these are probably, next to Iron Man, these are probably my favourites of the Phase 1 movies. Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2, not so much, but these ones are all great, so. So those are the MCU movies that I rewatched in February, and then I watched a couple of movies that I hadn't seen before. I know, I actually watched some first-time viewings. First one that I watched was a movie called Marooned. This has Gregory Peck in it, and it's about a trio of astronauts get stranded in space. And basically NASA has to figure out a way to bring them back. So, yes, it is a little like Apollo 13, but this came out years before Apollo 13 did. So, and before the actual real life incident with Apollo 13. This is, as far as I believe, fictional, so this story, but it did come out in 1969, so I don't know if this was made before or after the moon landing, so it's, I think at that point, yeah, they weren't sure if reaching the moon was even possible. But yeah, this one is these astronauts get stranded in orbit. So I think if it's, I saw this at the start of the month, so it's a little bit hazy. But if memory serves, they basically get into space, but then they start to, something happens, and I think they get hit with debris or something, and they can't make it back, I think. But yes, I actually quite enjoyed this. I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars. I would definitely rewatch this one again. So, Marooned. Then I ended up inspiring a bit of a Nicolas Cage movie buying spree. I watched The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This is one that I'd been meaning to check out, and I finally sat down and watched it. I had a lot of fun with this one. Yes, because this is basically like Nicolas Cage is trying to, get his career back on track, get his wife and daughter speaking to him. He's, just trying all these things, and then basically the only offer he can get is to visit this guy's compound for $1 million, making a surprise appearance, and it kind of goes from there, and all these crazy things happen, and yeah, it's a fun action movie. I highly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Pedro Pascal in this as well. Yes, him and Nicolas Cage working together was hilarious, and yeah, I'm really glad I finally sat down and watched this one. So again, this one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And then, actually, I don't think I talked about my ratings. So both Captain America: The First Avenger and Thor are 4.5 out of 5 stars. The Avengers is 5 out of 5 stars. So that's the next ones. And then this is a very random rewatch. Basically, I was listening to Patrick Stewart's memoir, Making It So, and he was talking about all the different Shakespeare productions he was in, because he was a Shakespearean actor before he started working on film, and obviously Star Trek and X-Men and things like that. And I decided to rewatch Hamlet, the production that he did with David Tennant. So it's like, Star Trek and Doctor Who. So this is a modern production of Hamlet, and it's still got, it's still the same story. It's just, updated production, values. It's very creative with how they do it. You've got CCTV footage, and trying to work out whether, if the ghost they're seeing is really what's happening, and then trying to build the mystery, and it's an excellent adaptation, and I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're not a fan of Shakespeare, it's still worth it just for Patrick Stewart and David Tennant. So 5 out of 5 stars. And then I continued my rewatch with the Monsterverse, Godzilla Kong Monsterverse, in preparation for Godzilla versus Kong. Not Godzilla versus Kong, Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire, I think the new one's called. But I did rewatch Kong Skull Island. This one is actually growing on me every time I watch this. Because when I first watched it, I didn't really care for it all that much. I thought it was decent, but that was it. But, it's definitely, a take on the, adventure survival story. And, really sort of just sort of seeing the aftermath of Vietnam, and, being thrust into this jungle survival, story, and, and also seeing Kong and everything. It's definitely, I think, with multiple rewatches, it definitely grows on you. So, so watched Kong Skull Island. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And then, similar to Godzilla 2 King of Monsters, I think this one sort of has a bit of an up and down history with me. The first time I watched it, I enjoyed it, and then, then the second time around I thought, oh, it's okay. And then the next time it was like back to really enjoying it again. Like, it's not my favorite. I think probably Godzilla vs. Kong is my favorite out of all of them, but obviously I'm not up to that movie yet in my rewatch. But yes, it's still like setting up the whole Titans and Godzilla's battle with them, and yeah, it's like definitely exploring more of the lore from this universe is definitely what moves this story, I think, moves this story forward. And it does set up Godzilla vs. Kong like really nicely at the end there. So yeah, this one is again 4 out of 5 stars. And then I watched the superior version of Cats, not the movie from 2019. This one is from 1998 and is the best adaptation. If you can get this version, I highly recommend it. It's how Cats is meant to be, not having some flimsy story thrown in there. It's you know, just people dressed as cats singing and dancing, and that's all the story is. It's got great songs. It's just a lot of fun, and I had a blast revisiting this. And I forgot that a lot of the newer productions removed the awful battle of the peaks and the pollicles, which is actually one of my favourite songs. I know why it got removed. It's kind of racist in the lyrics. I like the song. So yeah, so it was kind of weird seeing like that song included in this, even though admittedly like this was like made in the 90s, so it was before you know, changes were made to the musical. And also this doesn't have I can't remember the name of the one, but it's like this epic ballad, and they're talking, it's like Gus the theatre cat is like he's saying, oh, it's like the greatest role I ever played. And it's also like normally in the one, the cat who the one who plays Jelly Lauren plays the love interest in this as well. That's not in this one, like, because they cut it because I believe the actor was too old to actually still do the song. But this is still a great production, and I had a blast revisiting this. 5 out of 5 stars. I love it. Yeah, so if you want to watch it, Cats how it should be, the 1998 version. And then I watched one of my favourite comedies from recent years, Game Night. This is such an underrated comedy. I never see people talking about this one, and it's hilarious. It's like such a simple premise, just you know, 2 couples are really competitive into game night, and then they like Jason Bateman's brother comes into town. He's like everything Jason Bateman, like the character, wishes he could be. And then they end up doing a murder mystery, and it goes from there. It's a lot of fun. It's like insane, and yeah, it's a lot of humour. It's just great. And yeah, definitely recommend checking it out if you have not watched this one. So Game Night is 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then the last movie that I watched, which of course was in preparation for Dune Part 2, I rewatched Dune Part 1. I'm so glad I did because this like just hypes me up so much for the second part, and just revisiting this one, like just how much detail went into these films, and setting up the story, the backdrop, and everything. Yeah, like these 2 parts, I mean, obviously I've only just seen part 2, but just this overall story arc is so well done, and yeah, I can't wait to see part 2 again. But yes, but this first one does such a great job setting up the characters, the politics of this world, and yeah, and it's, even though they're like really long movies, you do not feel it at all, and it's just such, they're such amazing movies. Cinematography, the score, the cast, the story. It's amazing. I'm glad I rewatched this one. 5 out of 5 stars. And then we move into the TV shows that I watched out of my physical media collection. I'm slowly making my way through a Doctor Who rewatch. So I'm not trying to have a set goal. I'm just watching stories here and there. And I watched 2 this past month. So the first one that I watched was The Aztecs, a really solid historical. We sort of this is where we sort of get into the whole lore of history can't be rewritten, and it's like the first Doctor telling Barbara, because she wants to try and change the Aztecs' way of life, and like she thinks she can stop them from dying out, and he's like, history can't be rewritten, not one line. And there's like all these political behind the scenes with the high priests, and yeah, it's one of like my favorites from early on in Doctor Who. So Aztecs, I think rating wise I'd probably give this overall story like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I watched The Sensorites. This starts off really, really promising, and then it just drags by the end of it, and we sort of get a rushed conclusion as to who the main bad guys actually are, and we don't really see any fallout from that. We just sort of say, oh yeah, these are the guys who've been doing all the bad stuff, not us. And yeah, it's just, it starts off so promising, and like the TARDIS ends up on a spaceship and people seem to be dead, and then they find out they're being terrorized by this alien species, and like we're given sort of this hint that Susan has telepathic abilities, like latent telepathic abilities, and not much else is done with it. It's just very disappointing. It's got one of the greatest lines in the show, which sums up Doctor Who in general. Like, it's started off as mild curiosity in a junkyard, and now it's quite the spirited adventure. Like, that's Doctor Who in general. And yeah, it's just not one of my favourites. It's probably a 3.5 out of 5 stars for this story. And then we get to the show that I've been binging the hell out of this past month. How I Met Your Mother. Now, I have seen the first 5 seasons, and I stopped at season 5, because I think at the time I was watching up to season 7 was airing, or season 8. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I didn't continue on with season 6. So I rewatched season 1 in January, and then this past month, I watched seasons 2 through 8. I just kept binging, and I was that addicted. Now, I will be honest, some of the jokes have not aged well. There's a lot of outdated references where you sort of like, oh, that aged very, very poorly. So, yes, it's sort of worth noting that the comedy is very much from its time. Like, I mean, admittedly, that's only 10 years ago, but I feel like a lot of the jokes in here would not make it today. It's, yeah, just in today's climate, some of these jokes are like, no, that would totally be controversial. I mean, maybe the jokes were controversial at the time. I'm not sure. I didn't actually watch it as it was airing. So all I know is that the internet was outraged at the ending of season 9. I am aware of that ending. Haven't watched season 9 yet, but yes, I'm still very curious to see how it's all going to play out, given where I'm up to in the show, and the mother's just been introduced. So I'm very curious to see how that's all playing out. I know there's some plot points in that coming up that'll be very interesting to watch. But yes, I'm kind of like, I know I'm like excited to see the end of the show, but at the same time, I don't want it to end. I'm kind of just gotten attached to these characters all over again. I've been listening to the soundtrack a lot as well. They had some really great songs in this show, and yeah, it's it's just been a blast. Like this, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some really sad moments for a comedy, as well. Like I didn't realize anything with like Marshall's father was coming up, so that hit me like a ton of bricks when that plot line came into the show. I was not expecting that at all, so I was kind of watching it and I was like, oh, I didn't think that was going to happen, and then it did. So yeah, so that scene was like, that whole arc was devastating. And the Robin and finding out she couldn't have kids, which I did know beforehand, but seeing that play out was still really hard to watch. And like seeing that impact the relationship with Kevin, like I knew she, like who she like eventually ends up with, but out of all her relationships, I did actually like her and Kevin, so I'm kind of sad that didn't last, but I knew it wasn't going to, but I did like the two of them together. But yes, How I Met Your Mother has been my life for basically the past month, and I have one season left, and I'm really sad about that. I will be checking out How I Met Your Father, which I know doesn't really connect to the show, but I think it's set in the same universe. Because I think I heard one of the actors do pop up in the show, so I will check that out. I know it got cancelled, and I'm still curious, so I will be watching. That'll be one of the shows I will be checking out on streaming, because I don't think it got a physical media release, at least yet. But yeah, so How I Met Your Mother, it's kind of hard to rate the seasons like as a whole, because I'd probably, like, honestly, maybe like a 4.5, a heart, nearly a 5. Because I know some people are saying, oh, it goes downhill really quickly, but I've had moments where, it's like some of those emotional gut-wrenching moments that just sort of appear out of nowhere, and it sort of elevates the story. And I find the overall story arc, like, to be quite consistent, which I wasn't expecting, because I thought everyone was like, oh, the show should have ended, 2 seasons ago, and honestly, I kind of feel like the show went to the right length, and it's, like, season 9 being the last season, I think, was actually good for the show, because, even though I'm probably saying that, 10 years later, knowing the actual outcome, which obviously the people in 2014 did not know about. So I'm very curious to see what I think of the overall ending, but so far I'd give it like a solid 4.5 out of 5 stars for the show overall, where it is right now. So we'll see if I stand by that statement at the end of next month, when I finally, or at the end of this month, I should say, because we're in March now at the time of filming this. We will see how I feel about How I Met Your Mother when I finish season 9. So there we have it. That is all the physical media that I watched in February 2024. So a decent amount here. As I said, my focus has been on TV this month, so I haven't watched too many movies, but I'm happy with the ones that I did manage to revisit and watch for the first time. So I'm going to stop it here, and hopefully next in April there'll be a wrap up for March's physical media watching. Thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I will see you guys next time. Bye.